Mass immigration and illegal immigration is turning Britain into a powder keg. Yesterday, 2 teenage boys were arrested and charged with attempted rape in Ballymena, Northern Ireland. Both deny the charges. They appeared in court yesterday and communicated through a Romanian interpreter. Well, people in Ballymena kicked off, and before I came to air tonight, 15 police officers had been injured. We've seen similar scenes elsewhere, haven't we?
Towards the run, boys. Fire busy's coming down the road.
In Knowsley, Liverpool, locals protested after it was claimed that someone from a migrant hotel had sexually harassed a schoolgirl. People didn't take to the streets in Northampton, but there were massive concerns after this allegedly happened.
Yeah, are you guys aware that the asylum seekers that you guys have got in the hotel are down by the school taking photographs?
Are they doing it right now?
They're not right now, but they were about 9 o'clock this morning.
Our phone's been going crazy all morning. I've been getting a lot of phone calls.
Oh, bless you.
I'm aware of what's going on.
When I drove by this morning, it seemed like it was all just men in the hotel. Is there actually any women and children, or is it just men?
No, there isn't any women and children.
In Altrincham, Greater Manchester, locals are very worried about hundreds of young migrant men being plonked in a hotel near a primary school.
100 guys from a country which we know did not value women.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's the hard... No, I'm sorry. Is there going to be a curfew? Or are they just at 7 o'clock at night, just going to be able to wander around? Is my daughter going to be safe when she goes into Altrincham and has a few drinks? No, is the answer.
We can't lock people up who haven't committed any crimes. We cannot impose on them and restrict their movement if they haven't committed any crimes.
That's winding people up, isn't it? Comments like that from law enforcement. And the fact is that members of the public feel as though their lives are being put at risk and the safety of their children is being put at risk because of things like this.
GB News can exclusively reveal that over 1,200 migrants crossed the Channel yesterday.
Yes, it's a new record, if you like, with border officials forced to call on fishing boats for help.
Well, that's the illegal immigration. Also, it's about the legal stuff as well, isn't it?
Survivors being moved from Liverpool down to Plymouth. Widespread abuse, widespread links between organised criminal gangs.
Charlie Peters there, yet again exposing the Pakistani rape gangs. Look, people are sick and tired of paying £4.7 billion a year for migrant hotels. People are sick and tired of private rental housing being used for asylum seekers. People are sick and tired of things like Operation Scatter, which was rumoured to be a government policy to scatter illegal immigrants across the UK. And they are sick and tired of tents full of migrants popping up in their towns or cities. And of course, they're especially sick and tired of being told that they are racist for caring about it. They've had it up to here with being told that they're the problem. And then we see things like this in Leeds, don't we? Well, of course, that was groups of what appeared to be mostly foreign people turning Hare Hills into a bonfire. I mean, that is just one example. It's obviously not right that people riot or burn things down or attack random foreign people or attack law enforcement. I want to make that very, very clear for the avoidance of any doubt, especially in the context of what it looks to me like we're about to go on and talk about for possibly the next hour or so, I think, here on GB News, given what's going on in Northern Ireland. You know, nobody could or should ever condone any behaviour like that. But what I will say is this. Our political leaders have to take responsibility for the fact that they have pushed a lot of normal people to the brink and they've created a powder keg here. Well, we have got some more footage and clips for you that we're going to be playing for you, I hope now, of what's going on in Northern Ireland this evening, in Ballymena and beyond as well. What you're looking at there is clips from just moments ago, really, an hour or so ago, of kind of armoured police vehicles rolling through the towns as locals and residents geared up for what was another night of disorder. You've got riot police there in the streets. They've been using water cannons. I've seen video footage which appears to show police releasing dogs into crowds of people. I've seen cars on fire. I've seen bins on fire. And I have also seen, I mean, there you go. Look at this. This is basically a picket line in Northern Ireland there where people are queuing up and barricading themselves in. They are, it's important to say, you know, it appears anyway, sick and tired of rapid change in their countries. We're going to keep some of these things on and bring you the very, very latest from there, because this is now spreading from Ballymena to other parts of Northern Ireland. But I'm joined now by Northern Ireland political commentator Dr. John Coulter. Dr. John, thank you very, very much. Look, it's coming in thick and fast here for us at the minute, so we'll get those images and things back on the screen as and when we can. What do you make of what's going on there? And again, I'll just remind everyone, there is an active case at play here. People have denied the various charges. I think there's something bigger going on, Dr. John, is there not, about the idea of rapid levels of immigration and illegal immigration?
Well, good evening, Patrick. I grew up in Ballymena. I went to school in Ballymena. My late father was the mayor of Ballymena for 3 years, and he'd be spinning in his grave at the sight of this here that is going on at the present minute, because Ballymena always had the reputation of being one of the best market towns, a shopping complex in Northern Ireland. And it seems now we've got to find some way of not letting Ballymena become the Southport of Northern Ireland. I think that we've got to look at the security situation. Unfortunately, the police service of Northern Ireland is cash-strapped. And what we need is more money from the Stormont government. And if they can't find the cash, then Westminster is going to have to step in and get more bobbies on the beat. That's the initial step that has to be taken. You're quite right in terms of immigration. This has been the spark that has lit the fuse on this situation here. There is a false perception, or even among many people, that basically there's an element of the migrant community who does not want to integrate into Northern Ireland life and culture. They want to retain their own ideas. They want to retain their own views about, say, the treatment of women. And this is a Western Christian country. And they've got to understand that when they come to this country, they've got to obey the law.
So you think, Dr. John, sorry to cut across you, but I think it's an important point. Do you feel that ultimately what we're looking at here is a group of people, a population of Northern Irish people who feel as though that they have been put under the cosh by political leaders for a prolonged period of time when it comes to both legal and illegal immigration, and they feel as though they've had enough?
Certainly the perception is, if you address the elephant in the room, namely the I word, immigration, you're branded a racist, a fascist, a Nazi, someone on the very lunatic right wing. Whereas the ordinary people see that there is a perception that many in the immigrant community coming in, whether they're here legally or illegally, are getting preferential treatment. For example, situations where we have huge waiting lists here in the health service, yet the perception is that migrants can just walk in to a GP surgery and they get priority. And that perception, whether accurate or not, that perception is fueling what is going on at the present minute. People have just had enough.
Very shortly, we're going to go to our Home and Security editor, Mark White. But John, I just want one more question with you, because you know the area. You grew up there. You literally grew up in Ballymena, where we're seeing this. You know, I'm sitting here at a studio in London. I'm looking at clips, you know, online in front of me, both on my laptop right now and some of the ones that were playing out there on television. You know, this looks incredibly volatile. The situation it is. You know the area, you know the community. I'm very worried that this could escalate even further. I mean, what could happen here, do you think?
Well, I don't want to stir the thing up too much, But I have to face the reality. In 47 years of journalism, this is the worst scenes I've ever witnessed in my hometown. And I think that basically we need to get the violence stopped. And that means pumping as much as possible money and resources into the police. In fact, what we really need is a return of the famous B specials, localised police force who knew the area, who could patrol the area from that point of view. We also need as well, long-term, the Christian churches and the schools to educate as many of the incoming migrants as possible about Western culture, what you can do and certainly what you can't do in terms of the way you live your life.
Well, look, thank you very much. I was going to say it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Obviously, it was about incredibly distressing things, but it's good to get your insight on the local area and the local community. It's Dr. John Coulter there, who's Northern Ireland political commentator. Look, I just want to, make very, very clear we're talking about what's going on in a developing situation in Northern Ireland. There are more clips coming in every single second I refresh my screen. We're going to keep bringing them to you. Incredibly volatile situation. Whilst people can have sympathy for people who have got right to the very, very brink and been pushed right to the very, very brink on immigration, both legal and illegal. Look, I do want to stress that, if people are attacking police officers, if people are burning down random people's houses, I think everyone can agree that is not the solution. That is not the solution, but maybe symptomatic of how far people feel as though they've been pushed. Let's go to GB News' Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, this is... Well, I mean, devastating scenes coming in, and it does appear online anyway that this is spreading by the minute, Mark.
Well, yes, I mean, certainly the PSNI had been braced for the potential of further disorder in Ballymena in particular, and had assets and reinforcements on standby. And of course, later or earlier this evening, that's exactly what happened. I mean, the real concern, of course, is that these things can take on a life of their own. We remember with the events in Southport, that was in one community on one evening, but then, of course, then spread in the subsequent, following days after that to other communities as well. So the real concern that the PSNI will have, and indeed authorities throughout the rest of the UK will have, is the potential for copycat events, other disorder to break out in other communities. Now, as we speak in Ballymena, clearly things are extremely serious. We've had petrol bombs, bricks, other masonry thrown at PSNI officers. In return, we're told that the police officers have fired baton rounds at those protesters, and also opened fire, of course, as we can see with the images, with water cannon. That's an asset that the PSNI have available to them in Northern Ireland because of the history of the Troubles in that part of the United Kingdom. But of course, it's not something that we have here in the mainland in the UK available to us, and we didn't see, of course, that deployed in Southport and the subsequent riots after that. But as I say, Patrick, very worrying scenes in Northern Ireland tonight, stemming from this disorder that took place last night. Very significant disorder by the looks of it in Ballymena tonight.
Yeah, indeed. Look, just the latest that's dropped on the wires from PA. Police used water cannons to disperse protesters engaged in, as they say, serious disorder for a second night in Ballymena. Fireworks and masonry were thrown at officers. Riot police have been deployed. Vehicles formed barricades as well. A car was set on fire near a car wash and a tyre centre as part of a number of blazes started. Police fired, as you said, Mark, there, plastic baton rounds at some of those gathered. What is interesting, Mark, is that the people who protested last night were described by an MP who represents the area as engaging in, quotes, racist thuggery. And I do wonder whether or not that language has, well, had the reverse effect, really, frankly. And, infuriated people even more. Maybe a perception that people are sick and tired of being called racist for having issues with what they may see as rapid levels of immigration, both legal and illegal, in their communities.
Yeah, listen, I think there's no doubt that this incident stemmed from a peaceful protest. You could absolutely argue that there would be legitimate concerns within the community there, with reports and allegations of sexual assault involving 2 teenage boys who, of course, appeared before Coleraine Magistrates Court accused of sexually assaulting a teenage girl in Ballymena. They spoke, we're told, through a Romanian interpreter, and clearly that has sparked a great deal of concern within that local community. As I say, it was first of all during the day a peaceful protest to voice those concerns. But listen, it only ever takes, and at all of these events, I've seen so many of them from the left, from the right, from all kinds of disparate groups over the years. You will always get people in the crowds turning up at what are peaceful protests with a view to agitating and causing disorder. And that's what we see. And of course, it only takes a few individuals to cause disorder, then other people just get sucked in to the sort of adrenaline-fueled violence that then follows. We saw that on display after Southport in multiple locations around the country as well. So there's a great deal of concern, and I hope that this can be confined to local communities in that area, that after a night or two that things may dissipate. But as we've seen again with public order incidents in the past, significant and major public order incidents, they do have a tendency to spark more disorder. The hope has to be that calmer heads will prevail this evening.
Yes, OK, Mark, look, thank you very, very much. It's Mark White there, who is our Home and Security Editor. Just want to recap for you before I go over to my panel. Very concerning pictures and videos coming in pretty much every single minute. Last night in Ballymena in Northern Ireland, there were protests, essentially anti-immigration protests that spilled over into violent disorder. 15 police officers were hurt. It is now happening for a second night, and it appears to be spreading out of Ballymena. We are going to continue to show you the very latest footage that we get in, so keep your eyes peeled to the TV screens or online because it's coming in by the second here. Crowds of people, some of them just standing very, very peacefully and normally in the street, making their presence known. Others, I mean, it must be said, just setting fire to things and throwing Molotov cocktails at police cars, setting fire to cars, setting up barricades. The police's response to this so far has involved water cannons. It's also involved firing baton rounds at some people and also, as well, trying to drive their armoured vehicles through the barricades. It looks as though this is really going to continue. I mean, bearing in mind that it's barely even dark at the moment in Northern Ireland, it would indicate to me anyway that whilst we hope things settle down, that there's not really any sign of that happening. As we continue to show you the very latest as we get it.